Hello, welcome to another episode of Full Circle with me, Onyx. And today, I don't know exactly where we're going, but I'm thinking of kind of sharing stories of kind of magical powers and awakening. And I really was thinking, oh, let's just share stories about like gradual awakenings, you know? And then I kind of started thinking of all these really cool magical things that would happen all the time. And recently, for some reason I was in a really dark space. Um, just that continuous shedding, unfolding, and I decided nobody understands me. Like, not my family, not my friends, not my ex best friend who's super magical and she's highly suspect alien. And I'm like, who's gonna support me? Maybe I'll actually try to open up and be vulnerable with someone, get a hug, you know, practice crying. I don't know, do the emotional thing. Or maybe someone out there could actually give me some guidance. It's kind of hard. What do you buy rich people who have everything? What do you buy psychic people? What do you buy magical people? If, you know, it's like, who can help me? I'm so afraid of getting assistance. Maybe my lesson is to let someone in and get assistance because you can't do this all on your own, and we're in a community, and the next wave of evolution is together. It's a we thing. It's not a me thing or I. It's a together we heal the world. It's together we support each other in our uniqueness. And I got scammed. And it was kind of funny to watch. And I'm like, why am I allowing myself to be scammed in my moment of weakness? Like, what am I doing to myself? And what do I have to learn? And I actually learned a whole bunch. I learned, well, I can spot an amateur wizard witch a mile away, just by their attempts and just everything. And obviously, it was a major scam, and I totally fell for it. And instead of going into self beat up, I used some new tools, practical tools about being human, So I definitely got triggered about feeling used in my moments of vulnerability. And, I looked at that stuff. I peeled off the band aid. The band aid was feeling reactive, the band aid was being angry. And I looked at the hidden material, and processed it. And then I reframed it all and moved forward with my life. And I kind of felt like it was a test to see, who are you? Are you really evolving? Are you really going towards, you know, choosing self love? Are you gonna. I feel like the 3D world, the Matrix, is always going to be giving you invitations to get involved in the 3D world. And we are a part of the world, but not of it. Especially if you've had like awakening. And I think we get a distorted view of what awakening looks like. It's someone meditating for years and having like this explosive Kundalini awakening, and it changes their life forever. But I think life is a continuous unfolding, this evolution of you. And so looking over my life, I've had lots of little glimpses. I'm like, if we really wrote the story of our life, there should be little signposts, little golden nuggets that show you who you are. And so even just looking back, so my brother and sister, their parents died, and my mom wouldn't let them take the dog to live with us. And I remember sitting in the back seat, like I think I was like 3 or 4, maybe yeah, about 3 or 4 or 5, yeah, probably like 4 or 5. And I remember speaking out, and I was like, Mom, I think they need their dog. I mean, their life has been taken away. They need that support. They need that. I didn't say the word anchor, but and I go, Mom, the dog's like a family member. It's a living being. And my mom is like, she's been playing her role in my life as she's willfully unconscious. She's afraid of anything. Like, she's just highly dense, you know? Uh, so she goes, she's so afraid of personal empowerment that she views it all as scary and evil. So, and I remember that over the years. I'm like, you know what? How did I know that that dog needed to be with my brother and sister, my new brother and sister? And, that would have been a therapeutic thing. Like, where does this wisdom come from a 5-year-old? Why am I not like playing with Transformer figurines and eating candy? And how did I just know that? And so another time, uh I have 5 sisters. Another one of my sisters, we were shopping at this little mom and pop grocery store, uh and I remember we like got in the van, and once again I was probably really young, like kindergarten, first grade, second grade. And I remember looking at my sister, and I like looked at her not to like read her face and expressions. For some reason, my head just, I was like magnetized to her. I just looked at her, and I'm like, why am I looking at you? And and then for some reason, I just blurted out to my mom, who was about to leave the parking lot. I go, Mom, Roxanne stole something. And I'm like, I don't care that she stole anything. Why am I saying this? And how the hell do I know? Am I a liar? I'm like, why did I feel the need to just say that? And my mom like throws on the brakes. And she's like, Roxanne, did you steal anything? And she's like, no. And then my sister, she looks at me and she's like, if I stole something, what is it? She's a Gemini. Uh, and I remember going, I don't know what the fuck you stole. And then I was like a vision came to me. Like, it wasn't crystal clear, but for some reason I was thinking it was like pink, bubblicious bubblegum. Or it was like, I think it was called Hubba Bubba. Anyways, so I go, you stole gum. You stole pink gum. And then my mom uh, gets out of the car, gets to the side door, opens it up, searches her pockets, and she had it. And like, and I was like kind of blown away. And then my mom, made my sister go back in and apologize. And I just sat to the side going, what the fuck is going on? And so that was like another thing, another thing that you just kind of put to the side. And I remember, and so the story of your life, if you go back and look at it, you might find you have intuitive abilities. You might find you have spiritual abilities. You might find magical things happening to you. And one thing that happened to me that was like a defining moment was I remember I was like walking home. Maybe it was from the bus back to the house in the little neighborhood we lived, or maybe I just went on a walk somewhere. I don't remember why. I don't remember all the details. I just remember walking past my dad's truck, and it felt like I literally just like beamed in, like off the Star Trek Enterprise, like I was beamed down to Earth. And I was like, whoa, what was that? And then I was like, wasn't my dad's truck yellow? Why is it green? I mean, and I think I knew he was going to paint his truck green, but it was like, I'm not the same person. Or what is reality? Was it like a glitch in the matrix? And I remember that like disturbed me. So that was just another dot connecting. So all these dots are like connecting. And really early on, probably once again around like 4 or 5, I remember my mom took me to like nursery in the church. And all these kids were like playing toys and screaming and crying, and they were all playing with toys. And my mom was like, you need to be in here while me and your dad go to this meeting in the church, and they have all these classes, and you're young and you can't go, and just stay in here. And she was like just shoving me in there to get rid of me. And I was like, oh my God, it's like a little child prison. And I remember looking at everyone going, what is going on? Why are like people emotional? Why are people so involved with toys? It's just a plastic castle, or it's just a Barbie house. Like, it's not cool. And I remember they go like, just find a toy to play with. I wasn't interested in toys. I remember going over to this closet that was supposed to have toys in it and just kind of blinking out for a moment. And then turning around and wanting to get out. Then later on, I got out. And we go to this like sacrament meeting because, it's Mormon church. So it's like all these adults sitting down. They're going to sing some songs, pray, talk, get emotional, and whatever, and call it a day. And I remember my mom wanted me to sit by this old lady who's like waving and being cute, and her hair's all just this like, you wouldn't suspect she's a monster. But I was seeing something else. I was like, Mom, I don't want to sit by her. I saw like a scary face. She's someone else on the inside. I was seeing her shadow. And I was like, she's like a psychic vampire, and she just wants us over there to suck her energy. I don't want to go over there. And my mom was like, how could you say that to that sweet old lady? And I'm like, Mom, I'm seeing two different things. I'm seeing two people. I'm seeing this other thing and her. And this other thing is scaring me. And so it was obviously really traumatic. And I put it away. Obviously I had to suffer through that. But I think that was the first time like I saw the person's shadow self. The etheric body. And the etheric body carries dense emotions. So when people are playing with black magic and living in negativity, it's usually the etheric body that's activated, that template. But anyways, moving on, since the story, like I'm kind of made a list of some like magical shamanic things that happened, but obviously this video kind of took a detour more into the stories around the ability to somewhat see. And one of my favorite ones that really kind of like shocked me, I was still really young, I think second grade. And I probably told this in one of my past videos, but it could have been on my other channel that I deleted. Um, I remember my mom sat me down. She was going to tell me that she was pregnant with my sister, something like that. And, you know, I think some of my brothers and sisters were at school still. I don't know where the F my my challenging sister was, the one that stole gum and has always been our troublemaker in the family, who played that role. But I remember, I think we were waiting for her. Maybe she went to the bathroom, who knows? Or she was, I don't know where she was. But my mom was going to tell the rest of us, but I think she was going to try it out on me first. So she sits by the fireplace in this little old like starter home in like Roy, Utah, that my dad built. I loved that house. And I remember she was like, I have something to tell you. And I was like nervous. I go, Mom, you have a secret. And it's like, in my mind, I'm thinking it's a bad one and it's about death. And I have this weird obsession with death. But I didn't know it at the time. And she kind of blinks and she's like, kinda, it's more of a surprise, not a secret. Since I'm gonna be sharing it, it's not a secret, it's like a surprise, it's like an announcement. And I go, Mom, before you tell me, let me tell you. I think she said she's pregnant. And then I said, Mom, I didn't say you're lying, but I said, the secret is you were pregnant before this. And the baby died. And it was a boy. And he said he's coming back in a while. He said something, the conditions weren't right. And he's coming later. But you're going to have another baby. And then he's going to come after her. So then later, then my mom goes, yes, you're right. I was pregnant and I had a miscarriage. And, it was really early on, so it wasn't a big deal. And I felt like I had that knowledge. I just knew. So what's really weird is I'll know things and I'll be saying it and thinking I'm the biggest liar because I don't personally know. Like, where does this information come from? And why do I feel the need to just say it out loud and put myself in that position, And as a kid, I didn't realize the emotions that can come with sharing information. Because a part of me is like part of me, I would say, lives in my third eye. So it's not an emotional place in my third eye. And that can be a dangerous place in the fullness of being whole, in the fullness of living life, just living in your mind, just living in your third eye. You miss out on a lot of life. You miss the joy, you miss the color, you miss the fullness of living. And you also, because it's so bipolar, you don't relate to people fully. And anyways, so, my mom was sad and she tried to hold it back. She may have cried a little bit, and then I blocked it out because I was like, oh, emotions, or death, big deal, because he's in the spirit world and I'm getting communication from him. And so is there really death? So why are we crying? Especially because he said he's coming back. And what's really interesting is I didn't, at that time, and for many years after, I didn't believe in a spirit world. I didn't believe in life after death. I didn't believe, or I should say, I didn't know and used I don't believe when people are talking to me. I don't know if they're spirits. I didn't know what's true or what's up and down. I was just receiving information, you know, and sometimes it came with images, sometimes it came in waves that as the information moved through my energy field, but I didn't have the terminology for energy field. And so a lot of really profound things came out of my mouth. And I didn't realize, which is kind of classic for a Pisces, and I didn't realize how traumatizing it can be for people who just want to live, I would call it a cookie cutter, planned out life. You know, how they see themselves, how they think they feel, and for you to be this like jarring force that they don't know what's going to come out of your mouth. And I think for a little while I thought it was fun. But life was very lucid as a kid. Like, I have a lot of memories where I'm out of body. And so, as we put these puzzle pieces together, the story of your life, you could say, oh, there's a divine influence, or I'm creating my life. And, the director of my show, there's these moments where the actor turns to the director and gets cues, or he reads the script. So, I remember I said something really profound to my mom once. There's a picture of her and my dad like hanging on the wall, when they were young and married. And my mom was really skinny and pretty. And then she just like let herself go, like after a few pregnancies. And she didn't know how to deal with my dad's mom. So there's like reasons why someone becomes who they are. Why are you depressed? Postpartum depression is a real thing. Why are you depressed? Oh, you are not getting along well with your husband's mother who has emotionally hurt you. So my mom's super sensitive, but she's not looking at it. She won't peel off the Band-Aid. She's in she thinks if you just suppress it all and just get through the day, because they had like really no psychology back then in like this point, back then, when color television just became a thing. Like TV was black and white. They didn't have really good therapy, they didn't have really good technology. So I'd really call that the dark days for sure. So I'm not judging her, but it's giving us more context for this like out of box thing. So my favorite, we're coming closer to the end of this video, and I remember coming home from like first grade, second grade, and my mom was talking on the phone. She's always talking on the phone, and it was like hooked to a wall. There was a cord, and it's a big phone. It's like a chunky thing. And I remember looking at her, and I go, Mom, I'm like, they're going to have phones without cords. And then I was having visions, and I like saw a satellite. And that's why, and I was like seeing the development of technology as a kid with my eyes open. I'm just having these like wide awake visions, like, or downloads. And I was telling her stuff. And I remember it was like unfolding layer by layer. First, I saw like a better phone. Then it was cordless in the house. Then it was like a cell phone with cell towers and things, and then I saw a computer, and at first it was big, then it was small, then it was like a laptop, then it was like a hologram, then it was like a hologram on their arm. And I go, Mom, they're gonna have they're gonna develop the technology to the I was laying it down. My mom's talking on the phone. She's like, that's nice, dear. She's like, you just always want attention. Just whatever. She thought I was like crazy or something. And I really liked that vision, that knowledge, whether it was a download or it's just part of me outside of time and space, accessing that I don't know what it was, or, you're a kid. And so you, bit by bit, all the dots connect, bit by bit, you know? And so you can go back into your own life and use there is a wealth of knowledge, hidden power to reclaim yourself, to get back. I wouldn't really say your inner child, but to see that there is a you, a nameless, formless, powerful you, who might be the universe, that's always been in your life, directing the show or working with you side by side. And I really wouldn't call it like a guardian angel or a guide. I would call that spiritual bypassing. When you say, oh, it's a force outside of you helping you, you poor little human, you couldn't possibly you couldn't possibly be connected to knowledge, to the quantum level of reality. So, and and this is really important because I remember going out on a date like a few years ago. I've kind of like stopped the dating process. I'm older now and I'm like over it. But I remember I was talking to this one guy and he thought he was pretty intuitive as well. And he was like, how are you so confident with what you say and what you know? And I'm like, because I am aware, like I look at the details and I'm not telling a story. I'm not living the character as something. I'm developing it. I'm growing into this thing. I'm discovering. And I keep a track record, you know? So my confidence comes from lots of practice, lots of experience, and also being accountable, like literally an account. I remember those moments. I look at it from different angles. I go, how did that happen? What were the mechanics behind that? And then why in this chunk of life when I was younger? Why this other chunk when I was like graduating high school? Those 2 points in my life. So, elementary, like kindergarten through up to third grade. So, anywhere up to third grade, super psychic, super magical, but more on the psychic level. And then after high school, when I was free from school, once again, another really powerful time in my life of high level stuff, reality bending, shamanism, just really cool spiritual growth. And then hard times, but lots of change. And so I'm always looking at the material of my life. Like your history is kind of a roadmap of the future, but it's like an educational, I don't know what I call it, a textbook. It's a textbook on yourself. And it doesn't have to be for magical things. It might be your relationship with God, or it might be finding your purpose in life. Like maybe you've always been into mechanical things and you're going to be a mechanical engineer, or maybe somehow a doctor. Uh, but obviously, I'm geared towards the occult, the unknown, the quantum level of reality, metaphysics, psychic abilities, paranormal. Like, I just love that. Like, and I look back. So here I am now, and the foundation of that is my history, kind of the experiences. And that, in a weird way, could give me a glimpse of where I'm going. Like, I'm looking at death. I'm looking, okay, Onyx, you could die at any time. And are you prepared to go to the next realm, to be rebirthed? Where are we going here? And what are you taking with you? And did you actually achieve what you wanted? Is there anything you can take with you on this human adventure? Why did you choose this path? Was it a total epic failure? You know, what did you really want? And so life is always on review, and it can give you deep insights into who you actually are. And and that is part of developing uh your magical abilities, you know, because it's a reservoir of confidence, and and it becomes like a textbook. It kind of becomes like a grimoire. You're like, oh yeah, I know how I flirt with the universe, through visions, dreams. So for me, it's not rituals and candles and herbs. Or my other way of flirting, how I flirt with this world is through crystals and nature walks and sunshine and sitting by the river. That's how I love to interact with this realm. And so I feel like we're always kind of like clarifying repeatedly our path, our purpose, the direction we're going, and solidifying it and pruning the tree. And you realize you're in a constant state of growth and evolution. And for me, that's where the energy is. That's where the excitement and the drive comes from, to pursue the occult in an authentic way and have that relationship. It's not someone telling me. It's, you know, I view everything outside of me, especially now, as not exactly someone else's perspective, but that's their frame. But I'm into blowing up my frame. I feel like I'm at the direction I want to go is sorcerer. You know, I'm on a I'm taking my craft, my experience, my connections to a different level, and that requires a whole different pair of eyes. That requires a different tool, which is myself, my consciousness. Like, and in a really weird way, it's always been there. I've always been a sorcerer. I just needed, I think Neville Goddard is a Christian sorcerer. He's a sorcerer. Carlos Castaneda is a sorcerer. And those two people resonate with me the most, especially Carlos Castaneda. Uh, when I started reading a few of his books, when I was going through a very shamanic period in my life, I was like, I have some of those experiences. So awesome. And so I kind of like tried to get into his books, but there were some convoluted things that I